distinguished dignitaries, participants in the Bridge Conference, organizers of the event, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. It is a pleasure and a privilege to participate in and address this illustrious gathering. The theme of today's conference and the task which ICT Academy has undertaken in collaboration with the government is critical to India's youth and India's future. How do we create sustainable livelihoods for future Indians? This is a question that has engaged public policy makers since independence. We are familiar with the training agenda of the nation for several decades now. As a young officer, when I joined service in 1987, I was responsible for implementing the TRISM program, training rural youth for self-employment. TRISM trained young women and men in a gamut of activities, from electrician to auto mechanic to tailoring. About a decade later, in the mid-90s, as Director and Joint Secretary in the Rural Development Department, I formulated and launched the Swavalambana program. Swavalambana, or self-reliance, focused on high-quality training to rural youth in fields like poultry management, bakery, computer training, and so on. Over the years, training has matured into skill development, and its content and pedagogy have become more sophisticated. But the basic tenets underpinning the development of skills has stayed more or less the same. Its objective has been and continues to be to create a pool of peripheral services that would support an urban, modern economy, which would provide ancillary services to the industrial manufacturing sector, sometimes drawing on the agrarian sector as well, but whose basic objective is to make the manufacturing services economy a more efficient one. Such a functional skill development model is not unusual, and it has achieved reasonable success also. But a functional model of skill development suffers from certain critical limitations. First, it is beyond the aspiration and imagination of a functional skilling model that within the vast population that this model seeks to skill develop and train, there are living, pulsating minds, imaginative instincts, and a creative cultural heritage which needs not to be curbed but to be allowed to blossom if we are to build a simple, scalable, sustainable future for our people. Second, the functional model of skilling relies on a static ecosystem, but our youth are entering a world that is changing at a faster pace than ever before. The working world has always been dynamic, but when my generation and yours, most of yours, launched our careers, the pace of change was slower. We had some time to get used to it. Gradualism was the credo of our day. But today, change is happening at a far more rapid pace than ever before. Obsolescence is faster, and there are so many overlapping transformations. Most important of all is the role of technology. Young people are entering a world that will increasingly be automated. This is not new. Over centuries, mankind has gradually mechanized its work processes. But the difference is that earlier, we were basically adding muscle or mechanization to what people did. If you were digging a ditch, you got assisted by a machine. And even when we automated other tasks that were not mechanical, we were automating fairly routine work. This is a work for which you could write a script or a set of algorithms, and then you got a machine to follow those rules, and it did the work. What feels different now is that we seem to be building machines that seem to be doing wholly different things. Machines are getting at things that look like tacit knowledge. It looks as if the machines are actually learning to do something. They are not being scripted to do something. They are discovering patterns and they are discovering it themselves. The difference also is that we are seeing spectacular demonstrations and progress with artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and robotics in a way that has been quite extraordinary. This affects not just the mundane tasks. For instance, driverless cars will throw 25 million Indian drivers out of work, but it impacts on more sophisticated fields. Cardiac surgery is described today as a dying specialty as surgery is overtaken by less invasive interventional techniques. Even just 5 years from now, more than 1/3 of the skills that are considered essential in today's world would have changed according to the World Economic Forum. McKinsey estimates that by 2030, about 16% of the world's occupations would have become automated. This will in turn impact on incomes, skilling, and location. So, what is required is not mere adaptability, but agility. Third, the working world in which our youth will live is expanding simultaneously in two directions. On the one hand, we are rapidly becoming internationalized and globalized. This is touching every aspect of our activities. Earlier, only sophisticated fields like management or finance needed to be in tune with global trends. Today, the florist in Anekal exporting marigolds to Amsterdam, or the packer in Banganapalli packing mangoes for Madrid needs to be aware of international quality restrictions and conditions. Meanwhile, political decentralization has ushered in the aspiration for decentralized economic progress as well, with rural youth forming a cohort group of great economic potential homegrown in India's villages. Therefore, if we are to create a skilling model that is not merely functional but is transformative, we should address these lacunae. We need a skilling model that taps and utilizes the inherent creativity of the Indian mind, that is agile and nimble enough to keep pace with changing scenarios and is able to link the global with the local. Let us look at specifics. How do we construct a creative, transformative, skilling model? What do we need to do? First, our skilling model should unleash the power of the creative economy of India. What is creative economy? The creative economy deals with the interface between economy, culture, technology, and society. Having creativity as the main driver, the sector is concentrated around products and services bearing creative content, cultural value, and market objectives. Creative goods and services are resilient products because they rely on ideas, knowledge, skills, and the ability to seize new opportunities. Examples of creative economy products span disparate sectors and geographic locations. A techie in Bengaluru creating an algorithm is as much a creative economy professional as a singer experimenting with fusion music in Lucknow or a toy maker creating wooden dolls in Chennapatna. A much greater proportion of the world's intellectual and creative resources are now being invested in culture-based industries whose largely intangible outputs are as real and considerable as those of other industries. Human creativity and innovation at both the individual and the group level are the key drivers of these industries and have become the true wealth of nations in the 21st century. In 2013, I was managing director of Kaveri Handicrafts in Bangalore. It was an incredibly enriching experience. Converse with the Bidri artisan in Bidar, barely literate, burdened with poverty, and you see him instantly transformed into an artist with magic in his fingers, imagination in his hands. This experience has convinced me that India's creative economy needs creative solutions. Academies like ICT should learn to look beyond the security guard and the software programmer and foray into novel and uncharted territories. Second, our programs should prepare youth to not just survive but thrive in a changing work world. We in India are still disputing whether the generalist is better than the specialist or the other way around. Meanwhile, countries like the USA and Canada are grooming versatilists or T-shaped managers. A versatilist is a professional who combines depth of expertise in one field with enough breadth of knowledge that enables her to collaborate across disciplines with experts in areas which are other than her own and apply knowledge in areas of expertise other than her own. My son is an aspiring neurosurgeon, and in talking to him, I find that even highly esoteric specialized professions like surgery are being fundamentally altered. For those of my generation, surgery simply meant removing the offending part. Your appendix is painful, cut it out. A tumor has grown, remove it. But today, branches like functional neurosurgery use brain tool, brain machine, and brain computer interfaces to enable correctional treatment and restore normal functioning in conditions as wide-ranging as epilepsy to chronic pain to obesity without any invasive procedure whatsoever. Such advances in medicine demand that the doctor becomes part engineer, for she has to be able to understand how the devices work so as to use them. Third, to prepare for such large-scale disruption, individuals, the young especially, but the middle-aged as well, have to self-transform. Here is a sample of the skill sets we need to acquire. 1. Nurture your creativity. Robots cannot compete with humans on creativity. The future workplace is going to demand new ways of thinking, and human creativity is the key to it. Along with this, analytical and critical thinking and understanding and decision making on complex issues are skills that we will require. 2. Cultivate leadership and interpersonal skills. While today's typical hierarchical organizational chart may not exist, individuals will take on leadership roles on project teams or work with other employees to tackle issues and develop solutions. This means that you should hone your ability to communicate effectively with other human beings. 3. Embrace diversity, cultural intelligence, and change. As our world and workplaces become more diverse and open, it is vital that individuals have the skills to understand, respect, and work with others despite differences in race, culture, language, age, gender, sexual orientation, political or religious beliefs, and so on. Due to the speed of change in the future workplace, people will have to be agile and able to celebrate change. Not only will our brains need to be flexible, but we will also have to learn to shift and adjust to changing workplaces, changing expectations, and changing skill sets. An essential skill will be the ability to see change not as a burden, but as an opportunity to grow and innovate. The challenges of this century cannot be attempted in silos. It requires a community of stakeholders to collaborate with each other to leverage resources and accelerate impact. Ecosystem-centric thinking and execution is the future. That brings us to the community comprising all of us, which too has a critical role to play. Therefore, it is time for all of us to begin acquiring skills that will make us valuable resources in the future workplace. Now is the time to decide as we stand on the threshold. Are you up to it? With these words, I wish the Bridge Conference all success in bringing us all together one step closer to our goal. Thank you all and good luck.